Hi everyone. Hi Peggy and Brett. Thank you so much and everybody out there. I am so honored to be here today. I appreciate you guys asking me to speak here again. My name is Dr. Charley Ferrer, and I'm actually the founder and CEO of Cancer Tamer, who is dedicated in helping women and men with breast cancer be able to navigate what's happening and giving them information and also empowering you to be a bit more proactive in your care and do advocacy for yourself because nobody else is going to do it for you. So I did bring a little PowerPoint presentation here. So I'm hoping you can see it. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in or wait till the end. I'm more than happy to answer questions as they come up. So this is awareness and prevention, and a couple of things that some people may not know. So let me lower my screen here because then I can't see my own PowerPoint. Um, but according to the American Cancer Society, we know that 1 in 8 women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. However, 1 in 844 men are also being diagnosed with breast cancer in the US alone. And in 2018, they indicated that over 40,920 women and 840 men had died from breast cancer. Again, all these stats are in the US alone. And understanding that the statistics are actually like about 2 to 4 years behind because they can't get statistics like for each year. So for 2022, they had anticipated that of the 339,250 individuals who would be diagnosed with breast cancer, about 2,700 of those would be men who were being diagnosed, and about 530 of them would die from this disease. Now, I'm one of those that I hate statistics, but I bring it up only because of the fact that needing to realize what the risks are for you. Also, men are diagnosed with breast cancer in the higher stages. It's stage 3 or stage 4, which also includes metastasis, where it will spread to other areas of your body. And the reason that is because men aren't normally watching themselves, going in to get tested, and so on. Okay, what happened here? Okay. For men, just like women, you should always do monthly self checkups. Men have denser, more fibrosis in their breasts, and so it's a little bit harder for them to see. But you can tell if there's bumps, and a man would notice it much faster than their physician because you're noticing for yourself. Some of the tests that can be performed is a thermography, which is more of a heat sensor type to see if there's inflammation in your chest. The medical community does not consider that a diagnostic tool, and so they may or may not offer it to you. Other things are ultrasounds, mammograms. For men, a 3D mammogram is better because it's easier for them to be able to, and I'm like doing the mammograms on myself here. But it's easier for the men to be able to do a 3D mammogram than your regular mammogram. Also realizing that there is a diet where your sugar is connected to cancer, for breast cancer in particular, because the cancer feeds off of sugar. So being very conscientious of your diet as far as what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, and also be careful of soy. Almost everything we eat nowadays have soy because it's a filler, and it's also an emulsifier. It makes things thicker. And so genetically modified soy, which is a lot of what comes into the food, is not good for you and can actually cause even more problems. So be conscientious of the soy that's going into your body. Hereditary factors we'll talk about in a few minutes, and also making sure that along with your breast cancer, you check for prostate cancer to make sure that there isn't another issue happening. It's easier for men to get tested for prostate cancer and to have their prostate checked, and at that point you should be checking on your breasts to be able to check. Um, some of the places where you can do breast exams are in bed, in the shower, standing up. Underneath your arm is a big indicator because your lymph nodes are under your arm. And so if those swell up, go in and have your doctor check it out. And then having an exam, a physical, you should be having a physical every year anyway. But having a physical exam checked out. I have to run and turn on the light because my battery is dying here. I didn't even think of that. Um, okay. Um, Other things to notice when you're doing your breast exams is any kind of variation in your breast that you may find, like a lump or bumps or anything like that. Uh, Typically for men, where you find the breast cancer is around their nipple area. Well, they'll have swelling, or it'll feel like a bump or something. So make sure you check. And if you squeeze your nipple and there's any kind of leakage, definitely go and have the doctor check you out. Some ways of reminding yourself, you can use an app. There's some wonderful apps out on the market right now, or you could just add it to your calendar. And once a year on your birthday, that's a great reminder. On your birthday, go and get a physical. And if you have, if you have a spouse, then you can go to the doctors together on the same day. Some of the tests that we talked about was the thermography, it's not used as a diagnostic tool, but it is helpful to show any kind of inflammation. Ultrasounds, mammograms, again, men 3D mammograms are best, but it's up to your insurance if they're going to pay for that because it is a little bit extra. Um, some believe and some don't that there might be a connection between breast cancer and thyroid cancer. And so just to be on the safe side, have your thyroid checked out. It's a really simple procedure. And of course, check your thyroid. Fiction and truth or fiction, the sugar diet connection is there. Also, your emotional and spiritual state are things that you need to look at because of the fact that if if you notice that you're depressed, or you notice that there's that you don't have the energy to do things, have yourself checked out, because a lot of the times your body is telling you that there's something wrong and you're just not getting the signal. So when if you've been exhausted for a few months now, go get yourself checked out. Not that you have breast cancer or anything, but that there might be something else going on. My big peeve is, don't put your telephone in your pockets. For men, in your front pockets, because, the radiation coming off the phone has been known to cause tumors. You don't want them in certain areas. And for women, they tend to put their cell phone into their bra. And it's been known to have where you're holding your phone is where you get your breast cancer. So stop doing that. My other thing is realizing that there is a big difference between something being hereditary and something being environmental. From this perspective, is cancer hereditary or is it environmental? I think it's too quick for the medical community to immediately say, oh, well, your mom had it, or your dad had it, or your brother had it. And so, of course, it's hereditary. And so unless they're doing the actual testing for the genes, the BRCA1 and 2 gene, it's not hereditary. And I'll talk about environmental factors. And really it is, you know, If it's hereditary, then your cousins and your aunts and other family members in Timbuktu should also have it. But if none of them have it, then it's environmental. Um, so if you are diagnosed with the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene, for men, that just means that you have a higher risk of getting breast cancer. So with the BRCA1, you're running a risk factor of 1. With the BRCA2 gene, it's 7 to 8% risk factor. There's also other gene mutations that are also connected to breast cancer, like the ATM, not like the money dispenser. I always think that's so funny. But the ATM gene, the CHEK2 gene, the PALB2 gene, these have been linked with breast cancer in men. Also, the Klinefelter syndrome, which is where you have more than one X chromosome for men. This can also be make you higher risk for breast cancer, as well as testicular issues and the breast tissue growth that's non-cancerous. Think of like men boobs and things like that. Is it inevitable if somebody in your mom or your dad have the the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene that you would get it? No. It doesn't mean that you'll get it. It just means that you're at a higher risk. So I know in women's cases, they run out, a lot of women will run out and get a preemptive mastectomy. And that doesn't mean that you won't get breast cancer. That just means that you got no boobs now. That's the only difference. As far as environmental factors, noticing if there's any kind of toxins in your area. Also, what's really amazing is if you look in your own area and look up the health statistics in your town, in your state, and see what the rates are. And each state varies. So making sure that you look in your area. Why is that? Was there toxic waste in your area? Was there garbage dumps? Was the water contaminated? All these things can actually make you sick, and not just breast cancer, but other issues as well. We just talked about this. Does cutting off your breasts if you've got the BRCA1 or 2 gene prevent breast cancer? No, it doesn't. It just means you have no breasts, and now you have a whole other issues that's happening with your body. We all know that diet and exercise is good for you. It's even more important when you're preventing breast cancer and other cancers, as well as getting healthier after a diagnosis. If you're doing exercise, and I hate the word exercise because nobody, when you think exercise, you think, oh my God, I have to go to the gym, I have to run, I have to lift weights, I have to It doesn't mean that. It just means move your body. Exercising, movement is just getting up and walking to the corner and coming back. These are wonderful ways to be able to start staying healthy. And it also helps with all the endorphins and the hormones that you need to keep your body healthy and your mind healthy. One of the books that I love for eating healthier, and it's actually for juicing, for those of you that might like to juice, is called Crazy Sexy Juice by Chris Carr. And she also had cancer. She had stomach cancer. And she wrote this book, and it's got the best juices ever. It's like 100 and something juices in her book. And they're just very easy to make and very, very tasty, I would say. When you do find, if you ever find a lump in your breast, then make sure that you get a second opinion. Make sure that if your doctor says, oh, don't worry about it, you're a guy, and Brett, you know this from experience, waiting for years for them to turn around and say, oh yeah, there's a problem. It's like, if you're not getting the answers you need from your doctor, get a new doctor. If you have an issue and they say, yes, there's an issue, get a second opinion as well. Just to be on the safe side, to make sure that everything is being covered. Make sure that your tests are done. Also, there's blood work that can be done if you are diagnosed with breast cancer. It's a TA25 test, which actually checks the levels of any kind of cancer in your blood work. They typically don't like to do that unless you're in the higher stages, but you can push for it. Um, Also remember that there are all kinds of treatment out there, and it is up to you to decide what kind of treatment you want, whether you want a combination of surgery and then holistic care, or surgery and chemo and radiation and all of this. It is slightly different for men when they're being given the different hormone treatments like tamoxifen and nostrozole and things like that, because they haven't yet come up with medication that's going to work best with men. So, you guys are still kind of guinea pigs on, is this working well or is this not? And so be conscientious of how it's affecting your body, and talk to your doctor about the side effects, because they'll always come out and say, oh, well, it's normal for you to have neuropathy. It's normal for you to have this and that and this and that. And it's like, no, 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 it's not normal. It's a side effect. Normal and side effect are two different things. Neuropathy, where you can't feel your feet, is a common side effect, but it's not normal for that to happen. So be very conscientious about your own health and speaking up for yourself. Um, I met you guys back in what, 2018, 2019. So the male breast cancer happens. We also did some documentaries with all of you. And then, I have to say, I'm so honored that you guys are here, and that I'm talking with you, and the fact that you're helping so many men. So I think your organization is fabulous. Some of the other things that we do is, Cancer Tamer came from when I got diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't want to be known just as a survivor, because I don't want to be at war with my body. And so Cancer Tamer came from the philosophy of being able to learn what you need to learn in order to tame the cancer, in order to get it to be with you, and be able to live better with it, so that you could thrive instead of just living and surviving. Because sometimes we go into survival mode and we forget all the other things that are wonderful in our lives and need to be there as well. Some of the ways to, getting into some of the things that we've done, but for, these are things that you could do for yourself if you've been diagnosed, is being able to find support systems for yourself, being able to get support groups. And I know that one of the things that we've talked about before is that there really aren't that many support groups out there for men. So Male Breast Cancer Happens is a wonderful organization that actually gives men a place to be able to go and do workshops and do meetings and do support groups, and be very conscientious of support groups, that they are empowering you and not keeping you down, because some support groups tend to morph into bitch sessions, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to make sure that you're empowered, that they keep giving you information and ideas on how to better work. If you're interested, we do have a television show on our website, cancertamer.org, that you could see online through YouTube, that will be able to give you lots of information. Our television show is not about treatment options, but about living with cancer. And so we have information in there on depression, on sweet syndrome, on writing your wills, which is so important for you to do, especially a health proxy. In case you don't know what a health proxy is basically this person will act as your power of attorney for medical purposes only at the hospital, in case you aren't able to say what you need and what you want it done. This person will be your proxy. And that's really important to have. And talk to the person. Don't just assign somebody, go, oh, my best friend will do it, or my mom will do it. Let that person know what it is you want and what it is you need. Um, some of the programs we do different, for Cancer Tamer, we do different programs, educational programs for both individuals that have breast cancer as well as medical staff. Because a lot of the times medical staff may become a bit inappropriate in what they say or what they think or how they treat you. Not that they're doing it purposely, but just that, sometimes they don't realize the things that they've said are inappropriate. And that can be something as simple as telling you, if you don't take your medicine, you're going to have metastasis. They're trying to be encouraging, but they're also inappropriate if they say things like that. Some of the things that we do with Cancer Tamer is we do different events. We're primarily work with women, but we are opening the doors. We just moved. Our offices are also in Florida now. And one of the things that we're seeing here is, one, they don't have anything for breast cancer. And two, they don't even think of men as having breast cancer. Um, so we're trying to educate and do different activities. And some of the activities that we're going to be putting together are some pirate events and mermaid shows, because everything where I live right now is mermaids, 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 mermaids. So it's really interesting. We did do a play called Breast Cancer Diaries, which actually developed from the fact that I had interviewed so many men and women and just getting their stories. And the reason I started interviewing men and women was because I just wanted to see if people were being treated the way I was being treated, because sometimes I didn't feel I was being treated appropriately. And I wondered if other people experience the same. And as I'm doing all these interviews, I'm noticing all the issues and the challenges that we're all facing. So the Breast Cancer Diaries, the play, actually debuted in 2019, and it was also shown, and right after we debuted the play, COVID hit, so everything went to toast. And we just debuted again here in Florida on October 7th and 8th. And as I was telling Peggy, one of the most beautiful things that happened, one of the beautiful comments, was that one person in our guest book wrote, "Thank you for letting me know I'm not alone." And the person was a man. And he finally found some other people that were able to help him. We do have some documentaries on the website. If you go to where the television show is, you'll find them underneath the television show in the documentary series. And messages of hope. There were men and women who had been diagnosed with breast cancer. In it, the faces of breast cancer, people that all of the people in that one are breast cancer, have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And of course, one of my favorites is Men Speak Out, where it's just men talking about their experience, which would be very helpful if you're a man and you've been diagnosed. Also, it had some of the family members, for men were talking, the wives and the partners were talking about what it was like for them. Some of the books that we have out there to help, we have a journal book, we have a book with inspirational thoughts and comments, and again, the breast cancer series of books. And we do workshops, we do lymphedema pillows, the play, which I'm hoping we'll be able to get out in Kansas with Peggy and Brett. And then realizing again that it's not just about surviving cancer, it's about thriving. It's how you are able to, to tame your cancer. And when I say tame your cancer, it's learning how to eat better, learning how to move, learning how to, get your body in tune to how you're living now, because everything has changed for you. But it's not a death sentence. It just means that you have some challenges that you're going to be facing, and you'll have to do things slightly different. But you can thrive despite cancer. Um, And that's about it. That's all we have. And then, of course, we are a 501c3 organization. So if you're interested in, I'm trying to come back on here. If you're interested in helping out, that would be wonderful. Does anybody have any questions or something they want to share? Or anything I missed?
Yeah. It was very informative. I will say that. So I
Oh, well,
appreciate
thank
that and everything.
There's tons to talk about. I'm actually writing the new book, Breast Cancer 101, the things you should know but aren't told. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I got 159 questions to answer so far. And it's amazing how much information there is to relay, to be able to
Mhm.
talk to people about, because there's so many things that we don't even think about as we're going through this. Something as simple as pain. How do you deal with the pain? What is a lymphedema pillow? And so being able to talk about those things. And I don't talk about treatment because that's something that people should be talking to their doctors about, their own, because everybody has, a different take on what's going on with them. But we do talk about everything else. And that's the important piece. It's talking about everything else and how do you live with it? And lymphedema pillows, which tend to be, most people don't know what a lymphedema pillow is, and I don't have one handy, but it's basically it's it's in a heart shape. And what you do is you put it underneath your arm after your surgery, especially underneath the arm where they were testing for your lymph nodes, because you don't want to rub on that and cause issues. Also, if you've had the surgery, then being able to put the lymphedema pillow between you and your seatbelt. Because as you know, when that seatbelt hits your chest, it hurts like hell when you're in the car. And so you can put the lymphedema pillow between your chest and the car seat belt, making sure that you're safe and you're locked in. But it helps. And it also helps, especially at night when you're trying to sleep, because it'll be hard for you to sleep on your side. Um, Another thing too, as far as sleeping is, and even after surgery, even years later, you may still experience pain in your chest. And so talking to your doctor about it, because they do have laser treatment that they can do to help break up some of that scar tissue in your chest to help reduce the pain. But talking to your doctor about things like that. So, any questions? Yeah.
No, this is wonderful, Charlie. Such great information that wonderful to share. I mean, you being as a patient, and these are questions you had, and you got answers. So
Yeah.
this brings up a list of things. Do you also have a list, say they're first diagnosed, and a list to ask doctors?
I do. If
'Cause-
you look at our book, we have a book called Breast Cancer from Diagnosis to Surgery.
Ah,
And there's a list of questions in there to talk to your doctor. And one of the things that I highly recommend is have your questions before you walk in the door. Take
yes.
your notebook and then record everything. It's not, you're not recording because you're planning to sue them later. You're recording because the minute that you hear the word cancer, everything after that is blah, 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 blah,
Nothing.
blah, 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 blah. And your brain just froze.
Yeah.
It's not that fight or flight, it's you froze
Yeah.
and you hear nothing. You just hear the static. And so it also, by recording, it also allows you to then go back later and listen to it again and have your questions. When they answered your questions, you can listen to that answer. And you can share it with your partner if they weren't able to be there with
Right.
you, or if they were away for some reason. It allows you to be able to, not panic. One of the places that I do refer people to is American Cancer Society. They do have an 800 number that you can go and ask them questions 2,
Yes.
3, 4 o'clock in the morning, because I've been known to do this. The beauty of it too is that they will send you a pamphlet, like this big jumbo thick, 90-page
Yes.
book of information about breast cancer and all the nuances that go along with it. And you can ask them to either send it to you via email, which is what they like, or you can have them ship it to you to your
Right.
home address. And I always prefer to get things in writing, because this way you can put notes all over the page,
Yeah.
and then take it with you. And some of those questions as well that they have in there, you can ask your doctor.
Yeah.
And you can say, hey, what about this? What about this? I would say the most important questions to ask is, how are you going to treat me after surgery?
Good idea.
And people don't ask that question. And that's where we end up having all the complications. It's after surgery. And so talking to your doctor, hey, are you going to, what are you going to do for me afterwards? Yes, you're going to check me out, but are you sending a healthcare provider to my home? Are you sending a wound specialist? Are you, if I don't have anybody to help at home, because some of us don't have a partner, or your partner isn't able to take care of you, then who's going to come in and help you? Because I guarantee you it's going to be hell to try and lift a little bottle of water,
Very true.
let alone open your fridge. I mean, that after your surgery, you have to remember that after surgery, they're cutting into your skin, they're cutting into your muscle. And if you're having a dual mastectomy, then you have no upper body strength for quite a few months. And so how are you going to be able to help yourself during that time? And if you live alone, then making sure that they send an assistant, a health aide to come to your home, but don't let them evaluate you before the surgery. Have them evaluate you the day or 2 days after the surgery, because before the surgery, what they're going to write in their notes is they're perfectly able to do everything themselves.
Right.
That totally changes after surgery.
Totally
When you're
true.
not able to do things.
Totally
Yeah.
true. Well, this has been
Yeah.
wonderful. Excellent.
Thank you.